Schools are going to be preparing to open back up again in the next few weeks, and teachers are asking for a vaccine mandate. In fact, many states, students have already returned to the classroom. With the increase in COVID-19 numbers and variants spreading, the American Federation of Teachers requests a vaccine mandate. Now you have some places, though, like for instance in Texas, where you have some school districts who are defying an executive order of Texas Governor Greg Abbott, who said absolutely no mandate. The Dallas Independent School District has already said they are going to have a mask mandate. They don't care what the governor says. You're seeing more and more of that. We're seeing the same problems in Florida, where the governor is literally threatening to pull funding from school districts that require a mask mandate. Andrew Spar is president of the Florida Education Association. Andrew, glad to have you here on Roland Martin Unfiltered. Here's what just trips me out, Andrew. All these Republicans love to talk about big government, big brother, nanny state, local control, personal choice, but they're not allowing superintendents, school boards, and mayors of cities and county leaders to make their own choices for their people. They're saying, no, we're going to decide this for the entire state. The hell with what y'all think.
Yeah. So Roland, first, thanks for having me. It's an honor and a privilege to be here. And absolutely. I mean, at the end of the day, in Florida, we have school boards, and school boards are elected by parents in the community. They are closest to the parents in the community, and they should be able to take the advice of the medical professionals. They should be able to look at the data in their community, and they should be able to listen to parents and school employees and make the best decision to keep kids safe. What was just being talked about. We are seeing an increase in kids who are being impacted by COVID. Our pediatric wards and children's hospitals here in Florida are reporting that they are near or at capacity with the number of children who are being impacted by COVID. We've had 3 children under the age of 16 die from COVID in the last week and a half here in Florida. So as we go back to school, most of the state tomorrow, we are absolutely concerned. Are we going to be able to do everything within our power to keep our kids and the people who work in our schools safe? And we've got a governor who's playing politics, quite honestly. He's playing the politics of division, trying to keep our local school boards from doing what they want, threatening not just funding for our schools. Today, his office came out and said he was going to withhold salaries from school boards or superintendents who go against him.
Wow.
Because we have 2 courageous school boards who are going to do that here in the state of Florida.
Yeah, this is not Florida, but this is the idiot governor of South Carolina, where I've been twice in the past month. This is the kind of nonsense, and I don't want this to be a partisan issue, but the reality is, stuck on stupid is really defined on the Republican side of the aisle when it comes to this issue. Here is South Carolina Governor Henry McMaster.
For the government to mask children who have no choice to protect adults who do have a choice is the wrong thing to do, and we're not going to do it. We're not going to shut our state down as other states did. Mandating masks is not the answer. Personal responsibility is the answer. Common sense is the answer, and we have an abundance of both in South Carolina.
Actually, you have none in the governor's mansion. This is a perfect example, Andrew. I was there this weekend, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. I'm sitting in a restaurant Friday. Sister comes up, she's the waitress, and first of all, I walk in, they got the salad bar open, so already we got a problem, okay? I'm seeing people serving salad, no mask, people who are patrons. I'm seeing a brother who's refilling the salad area. His mask is on his chin. He's just talking to folks, whatever, and just talking away. And I'm sitting there going, no way in hell we gonna order salad. So we sit down. The waitress, she has no mask. I said, sister, where's your mask? Oh, I forgot it. They don't really require it here. And I said, I said, are you vaccinated? She said, oh, I'm vaccinated. She went, well, no, I've had my first shot. I said, well, boo, you ain't vaccinated. I said, having one shot don't mean you're fully vaccinated. It's like, oh, no, I know. I mean, you're right. My mama's a nurse. I'm like, your mama's a nurse? I said, and luckily, the Congress of Clyburns, they gave us 5 masks that were in our golf gift bag. I said, I'll be right back. Went out, got a mask. I said, put this on. And it was a trip because at different times she had it below her nose, but she would see me and look it up. She would hurry up and put it back on. And she's like, okay, I remember. And I say, baby, I'm trying to keep you safe. But again, this is part of the problem. When you have this governor and DeSantis saying stuff like, okay, personal choice. This governor says kids wearing masks to protect parents. No, it's to protect the kids too.
Absolutely. So first of all, let me just say, this is a public health emergency. I think you know that, Roland. I think all your listeners know that it's a public health emergency, which requires a public response, right? And we have a governor who not only is he saying no mask mandates and threatening school boards, he's actually holding back billions of dollars from federal stimulus money that was sent down both under the Trump administration and the Biden administration that could be used in school districts for cleaning and sanitizing, for making sure we have air purifiers in the classroom, for additional PPE, for making sure we're doing COVID testing and tracking and isolation and such to make sure we keep COVID from spreading. This COVID strand, the Delta variant, is spreading like wildfire here in Florida. And we are literally sending kids back to school tomorrow. And I suspect, as a lot of others have said, that within the next week, we're going to have outbreaks all over the state of Florida in our schools. And so what do we do then? And so this governor is not preparing us for that. And we need leadership in a time of a public health emergency. We need to bring people together and not have this politics of division that exists that we just heard from the governor in South Carolina and that we've been seeing from the governor here in Florida. And at the end of the day, it should be, what are we doing to keep kids safe and make sure that the learning continues? I'll also point out that the governor's order here in Florida only applies to public schools, not charter schools, not voucher schools, not private schools, only to public schools. So why is that? Like, what is the reason to truly undermine our public schools at a time of this public health emergency?
How about this one? So is this happening in Florida? I'm very curious. In Texas, the Texas Education Agency notified parents that if a child tests positive, parents would not be notified if it happens in that particular school. Well, the Austin Independent School District said, the hell with that. Parents will be informed of positive COVID-19 cases during the school year, despite the new guidance issued Thursday by the Texas Education Agency. What is DeSantis saying in Florida?
It's the same thing. Actually, last year, throughout the entire school year, we were back in person, and school districts took it upon themselves to report what was going on, but the governor refused to report what was going on in our schools. I'll also point out, Florida is only doing weekly updates on the COVID numbers in the state of Florida. If you want accurate numbers as to what's happening in the state of Florida, you have to go to the CDC, because Florida is not being transparent with what's going on in COVID right now. They're hiding the number of cases that are happening with our kids and in our communities. And that's quite honestly scary. If you want trust, then you've got to make sure you're being transparent. Look, Roland, the bottom line here is we need to encourage vaccination of everyone, and we've been working with school districts to do that. But we have to remember that those under 12 cannot get vaccinated. So we have to do whatever we can to make sure we have a safe environment for our children. It's actually required in the Florida Constitution here that kids go to school in a safe and healthy environment. And we need to make sure that's happening. We want every child, regardless of race, background, or zip code, to get the education they deserve in the safest possible way. And our governor isn't allowing it because he's actually interfering with our ability to do that at the local level. And it's an outrage.
And here is an example. First of all, this was a great tweet that came from Akilah Hughes. She says, schools can't enforce masks, but they sure did enforce not letting us wear shorts or spaghetti straps. There are a lot of people who have been talking about these school dress codes that folks actually had to deal with. But here's a perfect example. We talk about what's happening in schools. This was sent out by Mike Collier in Texas. There's a crisis unfolding in our public schools in Garland ISD, folks. That's in Texas, right outside of Dallas. 31 staff and 224 students have already tested positive for COVID-19. To your point, Andrew, if you go by what DeSantis is doing, no one will know this. You will not know how many staffers tested positive. And clearly, if they don't even want to reveal the information, that means you're not going to have contact tracing. You literally might be sitting next to a student or working next to a staffer or next to a teacher or an administrator who has COVID, and then you will have no way of even knowing.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what we're talking about even here in Florida right now is that we had one school in Polk County, just outside of between Orlando and Tampa. And in Polk County, they had to shut down a school before it even started because they have so many faculty and staff who have tested positive for COVID. So when school starts tomorrow, it will be concerning, I think, because of the fact that we aren't able to put those measures in place. Our governor actually said this, Roland. He said that if you isolate and quarantine students because they've been impacted by COVID, which the health department requires, by the way, or if you put a mask mandate in place, they're calling that bullying. And they're saying that's going to be considered bullying, and now they can get a voucher to go to a private school. And trust me, that's going to be from people who look more like me than you. And that is a great concern. This is truly an undermining of our public school and the public health and the public trust. And this shouldn't be about politics. Democrats and Republicans and everyone should be coming together, as we have seen in other places, to make sure that safety is number one, that the learning continues, and that we're taking reasonable precautions. These are reasonable precautions and protocols to put into place to make sure that everyone is safe.
And that's one of the reasons why we're seeing craziness. And you want to see crazy. This is, again, I hate to say it, but two of the most nuttiest states in the country are Texas and Florida. I'm a native of Texas. This is this idiot Congressman Dan Crenshaw. Frankly, I think we should be thanking the Obamas for ensuring that Americans will absolutely not comply with more lockdowns. He's talking about the 60th birthday party former President Obama had this weekend. This is what he said. Lockdowns don't work. The costs are too high. And the people who force them upon us know this too. Do not comply. You literally have Republicans, Andrew, who are saying, don't comply with mask mandates. Fight them. Ignore them. Don't comply with lockdowns. This is the sort of stuff that they're saying. And then, unfortunately, they're also being aided by these right-wing preachers. Here is one of the craziest ones. Listen to this.
I understand, and let me speak now to the cameras around the world, to every pastor that's watching this broadcast, to every Christian that is cowered in your home. I realize that for this last year that maybe you've been fed fear and fear and fear, but the Bible says that God has not given us the spirit of fear, but of power and of love and a sound mind. You have a sound mind. You don't have to wear the mask. You got Jesus. You don't need the vaccine. You got Jesus. Listen to me.
I guess this particular pastor here. Let me find this fool's name. Joshua Feuerstein. I guess he didn't hear about Bishop Harry Jackson, who preached in the Oval Office on Easter Sunday last year. Harry went to the Amy Coney Barrett super spread event at the White House later that year. I think that was October. Harry died the next month, COVID. He was a bishop. He had Jesus. He dead.
Well, and look, if you look in the Bible, if you look in the Torah or the Quran, or you're a spiritual person and you look at some of the spiritual writings, it always talks about taking care of thy neighbor, taking care of thy family. So wearing a mask is about taking care of others and caring for others. I think that's really rooted in the religious beliefs, and I believe it's rooted in our spirituality, and I believe it's rooted in our country, that we take care of others. That's what we're supposed to do. And so when you talk about not wearing masks as a personal freedom doesn't mean you get to infringe on others' freedoms. And so we've got to take care of the least fortunate. And when you think about the fact that kids under the age of 12 cannot get vaccinated right now, that should be a driving factor for all of us. And look, in Florida, I'll say this, Roland, we know that those over 65 in Florida, about 85% have been vaccinated. They have the lowest spread rate right now in Florida. And those under 12 can't get vaccinated. They have the highest community spread rate in Florida. So clearly, we know the vaccine helps in slowing the spread of the virus, and it certainly helps in keeping people out of the hospital and alive. That's what the medical experts tell us. I'm not a medical expert. I'm a teacher. I'm a music teacher. My wife's a music teacher. Our 2 girls go to school. Our youngest is a 7th grader. Our oldest, we're taking her this week to Howard University, where she's going to be a freshman. And even at Howard University, they're requiring vaccination and they're requiring masks. And so it's about keeping everyone safe. This is a public health emergency. It requires a public community response.
Absolutely. Andrew, we certainly appreciate it. Good luck there in Florida dealing with a governor who is desperate to please the right wing because he wants to run for president in 2024. He is not listening to the health officials. Y'all certainly stay safe in the Sunshine State.
Thanks, Roland. Appreciate it.
Folks, back to that Roland Martin Unfiltered video in just 1 moment.
It's time to be smart. When we control our institutions, we win. This is the most important news show on television of any racial background. Y'all put $2, $3, $4, $5, $10, $15, $20, $30 on this and keep this going. What you've done, Roland, since this crisis came out in full bloom. Anybody watching this, tell your friends. Go back and look at the last 2 weeks, especially of Roland Martin Unfiltered. I mean, hell, go back and look at the last 2 days. You've had sitting United States senators today, Klobuchar and Harris. Whatever you have that you can bring to Roland Martin Unfiltered to support it, please do, because this information may literally save your life.
Watch Roland Martin Unfiltered daily at 6 p.m. Eastern on YouTube, Facebook, or Periscope, or go to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. Support the Roland Martin Unfiltered Daily Digital Show by going to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. Our goal is to get 20,000 of our fans contributing $50 each for the whole year. You can make this possible. RolandMartinUnfiltered.com.